While I was booking the hotel in Chiang Mai for what I thought would be our romantic getaway, she was negotiating her bar fine with an Australian guy she'd been seeing for 3 weeks. I found out later he paid 2,500 baht. I was spending 40,000 on that trip. You do the math on who the smart businessman was. I'm Brandon Mitchell, 62 years old, American. Used to own 3 dry cleaning businesses back in Phoenix before I sold them and retired early to Thailand. Not filthy rich, but comfortable enough that money wasn't supposed to be a problem. And it wasn't a problem. The problem was thinking money could buy loyalty. The problem was thinking I could own another human being just because I paid her rent. I met Kulap in September of 2019, Walking Street in Pattaya. I know what you're thinking. Another old Farang who fell for a bar girl and got played. You're right. That's exactly what happened. But when you're in it, when you're living it, you don't see yourself as a cliche. You see yourself as the exception. You think your situation is different because your feelings are real. Because her feelings seem real. Because the sex is incredible and she laughs at your jokes and says she's never met anyone like you before. Of course, she'd never met anyone like me before. I was probably the 200th American businessman she'd said that exact line to. But let me back up. Let me tell you how it started so you can understand how I ended up where I ended up. So you can see the road I walked down and maybe recognize it if you're walking down it yourself right now. I was in Pattaya for 2 weeks, just a vacation. I'd been living in Bangkok for 8 months at that point, but I'd never really explored the nightlife beyond a few beers with expat friends. Walking Street was touristy, sure, but I was curious. 50 years old and divorced twice, and I figured, what the hell, right? I'm in Thailand. Might as well see what all the fuss is about. She was working at a go-go bar near the beach end of Walking Street. Not one of the big famous ones. Smaller place, less aggressive. She wasn't dancing when I walked in. She was sitting at the bar talking to the mama-san, laughing about something. When she looked up and saw me standing in the doorway looking lost, she smiled. Not the practiced smile I'd seen on the other girls outside trying to pull customers in. A real smile. Or what I thought was a real smile. 24 years old. Beautiful. Long black hair, slim figure, wore a black bikini and heels. But it was her face that got me. She had this sweetness to her. This innocence, even in that environment. I know how that sounds. I know how stupid that sounds. But that's what I saw. That's what I wanted to see. She came over and introduced herself, asked if I wanted to sit down, have a drink. Her English was decent, better than most of the other girls. We talked for 2 hours. She told me she was from a village near Udon Thani. Came to Pattaya 6 months ago to make money for her family. Her father was sick. Her mother couldn't work. She had a younger brother in university. All the classic lines. But I believed every word because I wanted to believe them. When I left that night, I paid her bar fine, 3,000 baht. We went back to my hotel. The sex was good, really good, but it was the afterward that hooked me. We laid in bed talking until 4 in the morning. She told me about growing up in Isan, about being poor, about wanting more from life than what her village could offer. She cried when she talked about her father. Real tears. I held her and felt like a hero. I saw her 5 more times during that trip. Each time, I paid her bar fine. Each time, we'd have sex and then talk for hours. By the end of the 2 weeks, I was convinced I'd met someone special. Not just a bar girl, a real person who happened to be in a bad situation that I could help her escape from. So I did what every naive Farang does. I offered to take care of her if she quit the bar. She said yes immediately. Of course she did. 40,000 baht a month to be my girlfriend. Not live with me full time, just see me regularly. Be exclusive. No more bar work. No more other customers, just me. She cried when I made the offer, hugged me, told me I was saving her life, told me she'd been praying for someone like me to come along. I felt like a god. That was October 2019. For the first 3 months, everything was perfect. Better than perfect. She'd take the bus down from Pattaya to Bangkok twice a week to stay with me at my condo. We'd go out to dinner, walk around the city, have sex like teenagers. She was affectionate, attentive, always smiling, always happy to see me. She started calling me her talak, her boyfriend, started posting photos of us on her Line timeline with heart emojis. I started thinking about marriage, about bringing her back to the States to meet my kids, about buying a house together somewhere quiet, maybe up in Chiang Mai or Chiang Rai where the air was cleaner and life was slower. I started thinking long term. That was my fatal flaw. I thought of her as property I'd purchased. Not consciously, maybe, but deep down, that's what it was. I'd paid to remove her from the market. I'd made an investment, and investments were supposed to appreciate, not depreciate. They were supposed to provide returns. The first crack appeared in January. Small thing. Her phone started having a password. It never had one before. I could always pick it up, check the time, whatever. Now it had a 6-digit code, and she'd grab it quickly if I reached for it. When I asked about it, she got defensive, said her friend's phone got stolen and it scared her, said she was being more careful now. Made sense, right? Thailand has pickpockets. Made perfect sense. Except her body language when she said it was wrong. She wouldn't look at me, kept fidgeting with her hair, but I ignored it. Told myself I was being paranoid. Told myself trust was important in a relationship, and if I didn't trust her, what were we even doing? February brought more changes. She started canceling our Bangkok visits more often. Always family reasons. Her brother needed money for school supplies. Her mother needed to see a doctor. Her father's medications were expensive. Could I send money instead of her coming down? Could we skip this week and she'd make it up next week? I sent the money. Every time. Because that's what you do when you care about someone, right? You help their family. You show you're serious about the relationship by being generous. 40,000 a month became 50, then 60. Then there were random requests. 5,000 here for an emergency, 10,000 there for a hospital bill. I never asked for proof. Never asked to see the receipts. Because asking would mean I didn't trust her, and I'd already decided to trust her. Looking back, I was a walking ATM machine with a smile and a heart-on, but I couldn't see it then. March was when the sex started changing. She was less enthusiastic, more mechanical. She'd check her phone during foreplay. She'd rush through it like she had somewhere else to be. And afterward, instead of talking like we used to, she'd fall asleep immediately or say she was tired and needed to go home early. I noticed. Of course I noticed. But I rationalized it. We'd been together 6 months. The honeymoon phase was over. This was normal relationship stuff. All couples go through this. We were just settling into comfortable routine. Comfortable routine where she barely touched me anymore. Comfortable routine where she flinched when I reached for her phone. Comfortable routine where she spent more time texting someone than talking to me. But sure, comfortable routine. In April, I ran into an Australian guy named Dave at a bar in Sukhumvit. Older guy, lived in Thailand 15 years, married to a Thai woman, knew the expat scene inside and out. We got to talking, and I mentioned I had a Thai girlfriend from Pattaya, mentioned her name, mentioned the bar where we met. His face changed. Got this look like he was trying to decide whether to tell me something or keep his mouth shut. Finally, he said, "Mate, I don't want to overstep, but are you sure she quit working?" I laughed. Told him, of course, she quit. I was paying her 40,000 a month, plus extra for her family. Why would she still be working? He looked at his beer. Didn't say anything for a long moment. Then, my wife has a friend who works on Walking Street. Different bar, but nearby. She mentioned seeing a girl who sounds a lot like your girlfriend. Still working. Still doing bar finds. My chest went tight. When? Last week. Could be someone else. Could be mistaken. But maybe just check. Yeah? Don't assume. Check. I told him he was wrong. Told him his wife's friend was confused. Told him Kulap would never do that to me. We had something real. Something different. He shrugged. All right, mate. Hope I'm wrong. But if I'm not, better to know now than later. I left angry. Angry at him for planting doubt. Angry at myself for even listening. I called Kulap that night and asked her point blank, "Are you still working at the bar?" She exploded. Started crying. Said she couldn't believe I'd accuse her of that. Said I was listening to jealous people who wanted to break us up. Said if I didn't trust her, maybe we should end things. I apologized. Immediately. Told her I trusted her completely. Told her it was stupid gossip and I should never have mentioned it. Told her I loved her. She calmed down. Accepted my apology. Said she loved me too. Said she'd never hurt me like that. And I believed her. Because I wanted to believe her. Because believing her meant I wasn't an idiot. Meant I hadn't wasted 6 months and hundreds of thousands of baht on a lie. But the doubt was planted now. And once doubt gets in, it grows like mold in a wet bathroom. You can scrub it away, but it always comes back. I started paying attention differently. Started noticing things I'd ignored before. The way she'd step outside to take phone calls. The way she'd be vague about her schedule. Going to see friends. Which friends? Just friends from before. Before what? Before me? Bar friends? She'd get irritated when I asked questions. Say I was being ki niao, stingy with trust. Say Thai culture wasn't like Farang culture. Say I was trying to control her. Maybe I was. Maybe I was becoming exactly the kind of possessive asshole I'd always hated. But maybe she was giving me reasons to be suspicious. Maybe both things were true at the same time. In May, she canceled 3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks. Always family emergencies. Always needed money sent instead of visits. I sent 75,000 baht that month. 75,000. My friends back in Phoenix thought I was insane. My daughter stopped returning my calls because she was so angry about how much money I was sending to some Thai prostitute. Those were her exact words. I told her Koulap wasn't a prostitute anymore. Told her she was my girlfriend and this was a real relationship and she wouldn't understand. My daughter said, "Dad, you're being used. Everyone can see it except you." I hung up on her. That's what love does, I guess. Or what you think is love. It makes you defend the indefensible. Makes you attack people who care about you to protect people who don't. June was when I couldn't ignore it anymore. I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw she'd been tagged in a photo. Recent photo. From 2 days ago. She was at a nightclub in Pattaya with 3 other girls I didn't recognize and 2 Farang guys. She was sitting on one guy's lap. His hand was on her thigh. She was smiling. That same smile she gave me. That same practiced, perfect smile. The photo was posted by one of the girls. The caption was in Thai. I ran it through Google Translate. It said something like, "Good money night, sisters getting paid." I stared at that photo for 30 minutes. Kept zooming in on her face, looking for some explanation that would make it innocent. Maybe it was an old photo. Maybe she was just being friendly. Maybe Thai culture was different about physical contact. But his hand was on her bare thigh, and she was leaning into him, and she'd told me she was home with her family that night. I called her. She didn't answer. Texted her. No response. Tried again an hour later. Nothing. By midnight, I was pacing my condo like a caged animal, my hands shaking every time I looked at my phone. She finally called back the next morning. Said she'd been sleeping. Said her phone died. Said she was sorry she missed my calls. I asked about the photo. She was quiet for a second, then said, "Oh, that was my friend's birthday party. Those guys were just friends of my friend. Nothing happened. Just dancing. You were sitting on his lap." "No, I wasn't. I was just sitting next to him. The angle makes it look like that. Your friend's caption said getting paid. That's a joke. Thai girls joke like that. You don't understand." Maybe I didn't understand. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I was becoming paranoid and controlling and everything she accused me of being. Or maybe I was finally starting to see what had been obvious from the beginning. I asked her to video call so we could talk face to face. She said she couldn't right now. She was busy. I asked when she could. She got irritated. Said I was being too clingy. Said she needed space. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't eat the next day. My left eye developed this twitch that wouldn't stop. Just constant twitching. I looked like I was having a stroke. It lasted for weeks. I decided I needed to know for certain. No more guessing. No more rationalizing. I needed proof one way or the other because the uncertainty was killing me. So I did something I'm not proud of. I created a fake Facebook account, used a stock photo of some good-looking white guy in his 40s, made up a name, made up a backstory, tourist visiting Thailand for the first time, looking for fun in Pattaya. I sent her a friend request. She accepted within an hour. I sent her a message. Kept it simple. Hey, you're really beautiful. Are you in Pattaya? Would love to meet up for drinks. She responded in 15 minutes. Thank you. Yes, I'm in Pattaya. Are you here now? My hands were shaking when I typed back. Flying in next week? You free? Depends. What you looking for? Just fun. No drama. Can compensate for your time. How much? And there it was, clear as day. She wasn't even pretending. Not with a stranger, not with someone who wasn't already invested. What's your rate? I asked, even though I didn't want to know the answer. Short time, 3,000. Long time, 5,000. Bar fine, separate, 2,000. I closed the laptop, sat there staring at the wall. The numbers swam in my head. I was paying her 60,000 a month, plus extras, plus gifts, plus everything for her family, and she was still charging strangers 3,000 baht for a couple of hours. The math was simple. If she was seeing customers even twice a week, she was making more from them than from me, and I was supposed to be the boyfriend, the exclusive one, the one who saved her from this life. But I hadn't saved her from anything. I'd just become another income stream, probably the most reliable one, the sucker who paid whether he saw her or not, the retirement fund she could count on while she worked her actual job. I wanted to vomit. I wanted to scream. I wanted to punch through the wall. Instead, I just sat there, with my eye twitching, feeling my entire reality collapse. But I still didn't confront her. Not yet. Because confronting her meant admitting I'd been lied to for 9 months. Meant admitting all my friends were right. Meant admitting my daughter was right. Meant admitting I was the walking stereotype I'd convinced myself I wasn't. So I did what any desperate man does. I looked for more evidence. I needed it to be undeniable. I needed it to be so obvious that even I couldn't rationalize it away. I messaged Dave, the Australian guy who'd warned me. Asked if his wife's friend could check if Kulap was still working. He said he'd ask, but warned me I might not like what he found. 2 days later, he sent me a message. Mate, I'm sorry. She's there. Working, tonight. My wife's friend saw her an hour ago. Same bar where you met her. I read that message at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday. By 9 p.m., I was on a bus to Pattaya. By 11 p.m., I was standing outside her bar on Walking Street. The music was loud, some Thai pop song I didn't recognize. Girls in bikinis danced on platforms above the bar. Neon lights flashed red and blue. Customers sat around tables drinking overpriced beer and pretending they were having the time of their lives. And there she was, Koulap, my girlfriend of 9 months, dancing on the platform in a silver bikini I'd never seen before, moving her body for drunk tourists, smiling that practice smile at a fat German guy sitting right in front of her stage, waving money at her like she was a trained animal. I stood there for probably 5 minutes just watching. Part of me still hoped there was some explanation, some reason that would make sense. But there wasn't. This was the reality. This was what she did when she told me she was with family, when she told me she was too tired to visit, when she told me she needed money for emergencies. She saw me. Our eyes met across the bar. Her smile dropped. She stopped dancing mid-song, just froze there on the platform staring at me. I didn't go inside, didn't make a scene, just turned around and walked away, walked all the way down Walking Street to the beach, sat on the sand in my jeans and button-down shirt, completely out of place, watching the waves crash in the dark. My phone rang. Her. I didn't answer. She called again and again. Text messages started flooding in. Brandon, I can explain. Please let me explain. It's not what you think. I needed the money. You don't give me enough. Please don't be angry. I'm sorry. Please answer. I turned off my phone. The thing about betrayal isn't just the betrayal itself. It's the retrospective knowledge. It's going back through every memory and realizing it was fake. Every I love you was a calculation. Every smile was a business decision. Every tear was a performance. The night we laid in bed and she cried about her father. Was she thinking about how much money she could get out of me? The morning she told me I was different from other customers. How many times had she said that exact line to how many men? The day she posted our photo on Facebook with hearts. Was that just marketing? Proof to other potential customers that she was girlfriend material? I sat on that beach until dawn, watched the sun come up over the ocean, watched the street cleaners start their shifts, watched the last drunk tourists stumble back to their hotels. Around 6 a.m., I finally turned my phone back on. 37 missed calls, 28 text messages. The messages had evolved from apologetic to angry. The last few were in Thai. I translated them. They said things like, "You cheap Charlie bastard, and you never gave me enough money anyway, and I have 3 other boyfriends richer than you." At least she was being honest now. I didn't respond. Just blocked her number, blocked her line, blocked her Facebook, blocked her on every platform I could think of. Then I took the bus back to Bangkok. When I got home, I checked my bank account. She'd tried to make a withdrawal from the account I'd given her access to for emergencies, 40,000 baht. The withdrawal was declined because I'd set a limit without telling her. Small mercy. I changed all my passwords, closed that bank account, made sure she had no way to touch my money ever again. Then I slept for 16 hours straight. When I woke up, the first thing I thought was, how long was she doing this? So I started investigating, really investigating. No more willful blindness. I went back through her Facebook, found photos from months ago, tagged in different bars around Pattaya, found check-ins at hotels I'd never been to, found comments from Thai friends asking about her new boyfriend in March and April and May. Different boyfriends, plural. I contacted another expat who frequented Walking Street, asked if he knew Kulap. He said, "Oh yeah, she's been working there for years, never quit. One of the most popular girls, always has multiple sponsors. Smart businesswoman, that one. Years, not months, years." The story about coming to Pattaya 6 months before I met her? Lie. The story about quitting for me? Lie. The story about me being special? Lie. Every single thing was a lie. I found out later, through the expat network, that she had at least 4 other boyfriends sending her money. 2 Americans, 1 Australian, 1 German, all of us paying her monthly, all of us thinking we were exclusive, all of us thinking we'd saved her. The Australian guy was the one she'd been seeing most frequently. He lived in Pattaya full-time. She'd spend 3 nights a week with him. The German visited every 3 months and sent her money in between. The other American was retired military, sent her his entire pension basically. And then there was me, the sucker in Bangkok who asked the fewest questions and sent the most money. When I added it up, she was probably making 300,000 baht a month from sponsors alone, plus bar fines, plus tips. She was making more than most Thai professionals, more than teachers, more than nurses, more than people with actual degrees. And she was good at it, really good. She knew exactly how much attention to give each of us, knew how to make each of us feel special, knew when to cry, when to flirt, when to get angry, when to apologize. It was a masterclass in manipulation. I had to admire it, in a sick way. She was running a sophisticated operation, multiple income streams, excellent customer service, long-term retention strategies. If she'd put those skills into a legitimate business, she'd probably be successful. But she didn't need a legitimate business. Why would she? She was making 10 times more manipulating lonely foreigners than she ever could selling shoes or working in an office. The rage came later, about a week after the discovery. Just sudden, overwhelming fury that I'd been used like that I'd been so fucking stupid, that everyone had tried to warn me and I'd defended her, that my daughter was right, that Dave was right, that everyone was right except me. I wanted to hurt her, not physically, but I wanted her to suffer somehow, wanted her to know what it felt like to be betrayed, to be made a fool of. I thought about posting about her on those expat warning forums, thought about sending messages to her other sponsors, thought about going back to Pattaya and making a scene at her bar. But I didn't do any of that, because what would be the point? She'd just move to another bar, find new customers. The other sponsors probably wouldn't believe me anyway. They were as delusional as I'd been. And making a scene would just make me look more pathetic. The angry Farang who couldn't accept that his bar girl wasn't actually his girlfriend. The cliché wrapped in a cliché. So I did nothing. Just sat in my condo in Bangkok, watching YouTube videos about narcissists and sociopaths, trying to understand how someone could lie so completely and feel nothing. The conclusion I came to is, she probably didn't see it as lying. In her worldview, this was just work. I was a customer. The emotional labor was part of the service. The I love yous and the tears and the future plans were all part of the product I was paying for. Did she feel bad about deceiving me? Probably not. In her mind, I was getting what I paid for. A beautiful woman who paid attention to me, had sex with me, made me feel wanted. The fact that it wasn't exclusive, that it wasn't real, that she was selling the same fantasy to 4 other men simultaneously, that wasn't her problem. That was mine for believing it. It's been 8 months since I found out. I'm still in Bangkok. Haven't been back to Pattaya. Probably never will again. I haven't dated anyone since. Haven't even tried. Every woman I see, I'm looking for the angle. What does she want? What's she hiding? Is this real, or is this another performance? I know that's not fair. I know not every Thai woman is Kulap. I know plenty of expats have legitimate, honest relationships. But I can't trust it anymore. The filter is broken. I see manipulation everywhere now, even when it probably isn't there. My daughter and I are talking again. She's been good about not saying I told you so, which I appreciate. My friends back in Phoenix are relieved I'm not sending money to Thailand anymore. They think I've learned my lesson, but I'm not sure I have. The lesson is obvious. Don't trust bar girls. Don't think you're special. Don't mistake business for romance. Everyone knows that. I knew that. But knowing and believing are different things. The real lesson is about myself, about why I wanted to believe the lie, about what need she was filling that made me ignore every red flag, about the ego that convinced me I could save someone and they'd be grateful and loyal forever. I wanted to be the hero, wanted to be the exception, wanted to rescue the beautiful damsel and have her worship me for it. That was my fatal flaw. Not that I was stupid, not that I was naive, but that I wanted something so badly I was willing to ignore reality to get it. Kulap saw that in me, saw exactly what I needed and gave it to me. For a price I was happy to pay until I found out I wasn't the only customer. Here's what I learned about the red flags. The ones I ignored, the ones you might be ignoring right now. If she suddenly password protects her phone after it was always open, she's hiding something. Period. Thai women aren't more paranoid about phone theft than anyone else. That's an excuse. If she cancels more than she visits, she has other priorities. Other customers. Other boyfriends. You're not the main relationship. You're the side hustle. If she's always asking for money but never has time to see you, you're an ATM, not a boyfriend. Real girlfriends want time more than money. Working girls want money more than time. If other expats are trying to warn you and you get defensive, that's your ego talking. Listen to them. They've been there. They've seen this story 100 times. If she gets angry when you ask reasonable questions about her schedule, she's deflecting, making you the bad guy so you stop asking. It's a manipulation tactic. If the sex gets worse while the money requests get bigger, you're no longer a customer she needs to perform for. You're a reliable income stream she can phone in. If you find yourself defending her to friends and family, stop. Listen to what you're saying. Are you making excuses? Are you rationalizing? Are you hearing yourself? And the biggest one, if you meet her in a bar and she agrees immediately to be exclusive for money, she's lying. She's not going to quit. She's just going to hide it better. That's the business model. Multiple sponsors who each think they're the only one. I see posts online all the time from guys convinced their situation is different. Their bar girl really loves them. She really quit working. Their relationship is real and everyone else is just jealous or bitter. Maybe they're right. Maybe 5% of the time, it's real. Maybe some bar girls really do fall in love and quit and become faithful wives. But 95% of the time, you're being played. And the only question is whether you figure it out in 9 months like I did, or 9 years, or never. The ones who never figure it out might actually be the lucky ones. Ignorance is bliss, right? If I'd never gone to Pattaya that night, never saw her dancing, I could still be sending her money right now, still believing I had a girlfriend, still living in the fantasy. Would that be better? I honestly don't know. I saw her 6 months ago. Walking Street, different bar, like I said earlier, new farang, younger guy, Australian accent, sitting where I used to sit. She saw me and smiled, waved, like we were old friends, like nothing had happened. She looked happy. He looked happy. She was probably telling him the same stories she told me. He was probably believing them like I did, and maybe he'd figure it out in a year, or maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he'd be smarter than me, or dumber. Hard to say. I didn't approach them. Just kept walking. What would I say anyway? Hey mate, she's cheating on you? He wouldn't believe me. Nobody believes the bitter ex. They think you're jealous. They think you're lying. They have to learn the lesson themselves, just like I did. If your Thai girlfriend used to work in the bars and she tells you she quit, here's what you need to do. Go to the bar. Don't tell her you're going. Just go. On a night she says she's busy. Look for yourself. You'll find your answer. And you won't like it, but at least you'll know the truth. That's more than I had for 9 months. Don't be like me. Don't ignore the signs. Don't let your ego convince you you're special. You're not special. You're a customer. Accept that or get out. Because the alternative is standing on a beach in Pattaya at 4 in the morning, realizing everything you believed was a lie, wondering how you became such a fucking cliche. Trust me, it's not worth it.